Awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm happy to be here. To all the ladies who have joined us, I know it's in the evening and we are almost getting into the weekend, but we are going to give ourselves more energy so that we can have a nice chat. I know we only have very few minutes, so I'll get straight to it. As you've mentioned, my name is Fatma. I'm the founder of WellnessKE, which is a platform that solely focuses on women's reproductive health. Why? Mainly because of my own personal health struggles. So I had fibroids for many years. I actually had a fibroids diagnosis at 21, but then I ended up having very many fibroids removed, which also led to me having deep vein thrombosis. And unfortunately or fortunately, it also led me to understand hormone health because it was due to high levels of estrogen that led to the fibroids and also the high levels of estrogen that led to thrombosis, since it's a hormone that focuses also focuses on our blood circulation. So because of that, I discovered that there is a lot of information out there that women need to have. I also discovered that there is a lot of misinformation when it comes to women's reproductive health. And unfortunately, it meant that there was a gap. So I'm happy to be here because it means this is a platform that actually focuses on women, especially women who are going through perimenopause and menopause, which is a very important time. But unfortunately, it's kind of hush hush. It's a topic that's more taboo talk. So I'm happy to be here to share all that I have learned throughout the journey, and also for every woman out there to share the information to the rest of the women. I think it's important for all of us as women to know that as we go through perimenopause and menopause, we experience the dip in the sex hormones that you've mentioned. The three most important being estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone. So they all perform really important functions in our bodies. But the interesting fact is that estrogen actually takes a 50% dip, meaning you actually lose, or rather you get to experience a huge dip in or lowering of the levels of this particular hormone. And also testosterone lowers by 50%, which is half. It's really a significant amount. But the most interesting fact is the fact that progesterone actually lowers by 90%, which is a really huge percentage. So that means that your body is going to experience changes. You're actually going to experience certain symptoms, which is what we want to get into, because a lot of us as women, we're not really quite sure why our bodies are doing what they're doing. So to make it much simpler, because this is a very short conversation, I think it's important to I like to focus on some factors that we'll discover actually end up experiencing changes when it comes to our bodies during perimenopause and menopause. The first one being heart health. The second one being bone health, because we do experience changes in bone density and all that, muscle atrophy and all that. The third one, which is also very big, is our hormone health, as you've mentioned, the dip in all the sex hormones, and also just the fact that these sex hormones are also linked to other chemicals in our bodies like serotonin and the rest. So if there's a dip, then these also are going to experience a dip, and that's actually something that is important to focus on. I know that every woman experiences different kinds of signs and symptoms, like mood swings and those kinds of changes. Physically as well, women do experience weight gain, stubborn belly fat or visceral fat, which is really interesting because a lot of women end up at the gym and nothing happens, and they haven't really figured out how to get rid of that. Also, our sexual health is affected. For instance, the fact that women experience vaginal dryness, low sex drive and libido. So your sexual health is going to be affected, mainly because your sex hormones actually take a big dip, which again, we insist, it's not our fault as women, it's our bodies physiologically. They're doing something different as we are going through this particular phase. There's something interesting that we have to mention. Every woman is different and every woman experiences different kinds of signs and symptoms. It doesn't mean that right now, if you are going to get nearer to perimenopause, you shouldn't really think that you are going to experience the same. And it's also important to mention that women who have actually being very careful with taking care of their adrenal health, and certain glands in the bodies don't necessarily experience certain signs and symptoms, which is something we're seeing more often now, mainly because as you've mentioned, when the estrogen levels dip, when the sex hormones dip, then you have a backup. Your body has a backup. Instead of your ovaries producing these hormones, then your adrenal glands are going to be producing these hormones. And if your adrenal glands are your backup during perimenopause and menopause, then that means you need to have healthy adrenals, so that adrenal glands, so that you can be able to produce enough hormones during this phase. So I think it's important to even focus on how we can be able to support our bone health, our heart health, our skin health, our hormone health, our reproductive health, our immune system through nutrition, so that we can be able to ensure that we have a smooth transition and we don't experience the very common symptoms that women experience during perimenopause and menopause.